Okay, so Numbers 23:19 seems to be clear that God would not become a man, right? And other verses as well that says that he is not a man that he should lie, he is not a man that he should steal, he would never become a man. There's another verse that I really love to throw in there, and it says, I did not appear to you in the form of a male or female, lest you like create an image like that and worship me that way. And that's exactly what Christianity did. But with Numbers 23:19, right, God wouldn't become a man. But then John 1:14 says the word became flesh. So why don't the Christians see the red flags there? It seems to be right there in front of them. Thanks.
Okay, so how do Christians know that? Christians are not studying the Hebrew Bible, and strikingly, they're not studying their own New Testament very much. There are some studious Christians that do. They're very, very few. In fact, I am shocked, really stunned, when speaking to Christians who are asking me questions, how little they know about their own Bible. And sometimes when they're asking me questions and pressing and prodding, I have to frequently show them what it says in their own New Testament for them to understand what the problem is, which makes it more difficult because I have to actually. So, all right. So in John's. All right. So let's start here. You spoke about the prologue. So that's John chapter 1, verse 1 through 18. Verse 18. No man can see the Father. Only the one who has. He could only apprehend the Father through Jesus. Okay. And that although I do not believe that the author of the prologue, the author of the first 18 passages of John is the same author as John 14. I think there are probably 4 or 5 authors that could all contribute to the book of John that you see today. As it turns out, this term logos, the word became flesh, dwelt among us, John 1:14. So that term logos is not going to come up anymore. What does it mean? Like, what's happening here? So what Christians are doing is they're ignoring the Hebrew Bible when they place Jesus in a divine realm. The prologue of John, these first 18 passages of the book of John, represents the highest Christology you'll find anywhere in the New Testament. Jesus portrayed as more divine here than any other part of the New Testament. There are other parts of John where he's elevated considerably, but nothing like this. But even here, the Logos idea was taken by whoever authored this from, no doubt, from a Jew from Alexandria. His name was Chaim. You know him as Philo, a Jew from North Africa, who is highly Hellenized. And Philo is going to express what it is that this Logos is. In the Greek, that's why we say Hellenistic, Hellenized, we mean Greek. What is going on here? So in the Greek thinking, there was one God. It means one grand God, Zeus, okay? But there wasn't like that God and then just regular everyone else mortals. Instead, there were other beings who were divine, like what you find on Mount Olympus, but they weren't Zeus, they weren't Jupiter, but they were definitely divine. And there was a whole series of layers of gods who go all the way down to the lowest layer, and those are basically mortals who are made God, or gods become mortals or ascend at the end of their lives, like Romulus, like Alexander the Great, like great thinkers, like you have Hercules, Pythagoras, all these people they thought. So in their view, these people, Caesar Augustus, they were divine, but they weren't, Jupiter or Zeus. That was crazy to them. That was insane to them. But what Christians are not doing, is they're not reading Isaiah 44, verse 6. That there's no one else besides me. There's nothing besides me. No one else. They're not reading that. That's the truth. So if people are not reading Isaiah 46, verse 9. I mean, if you are a Trinitarian and you read Isaiah 44 right now, just start reading the first 10 passages, you would do tshuva, you would repent. Could your heart be made out of stone? Yeah, yes, it's possible. Could you just go on the internet to find someone who can help you out of this, and so you can maintain your membership with your church in good standing? Yeah, if you wanted to, I guess you could. You can. There are people who specialize in help you stay a Christian despite the mountain of evidence to the contrary. And that's really what's happening, is that Christians aren't familiar with these passages, that there's no one else besides me. So John reflects an idea of a logos. Now, something I want to explain, which I don't usually, I'll take just 2 minutes to explain this point. I've shared with you that whenever you have a lie that is successful, that takes off, that becomes popular, there always has to be a little truth to it. It has to just get some traction somewhere. There's some coefficient of friction that has to be in the lie that is true, that gives it traction, and then you can spin off that. So there is in the Torah explicitly that God said a word, and from that word that Hashem expressed, there's an emanation. When God created light, well, how did he do it? Like, how did he create light? He created light first, which tells us a lot, right? We can now understand, given that we're in the 21st century, we can see why light would be really important first. Sun isn't created till the fourth day. So, Vayomer Elohim Yehi Or, and God said, let there be Or, light, Vayor. So God says a word, Devar, Memra in Aramaic. So, and from that utterance comes forth whatever it is that God is creating. And that's how God created the word. In the Hebrew word, this is why if you don't understand Hebrew, you should pray in English, but find passages that you could say in Hebrew and work really hard to understand them, because you're now employing the holy language. It's not like a magic language, but it's the language of what the world was created from. This is very important. So God created the whole world through his word, through his memory. He said it, and the word emanated from God, and then it became what it is. And therefore, these words are really, really very holy, right? Okay. In Neoplatonic, and this is where there's an intersection. In Neoplatonic thinking, this world was created by a divine being, not the divine being, but a divine being, and a lesser of God, a demiurge, was an inferior divine being, and not the best of them either, because after all, look around you. We live in a time when people who are not supposed to be alive are alive, right? We live in a time when infections are routinely healed through penicillin, through antibiotics. They can just pump you in antibiotics, and you're in. What do you have to go to World War I? Go to the Civil War. I mean, why did so many people die in the Civil War? Why? We didn't even know any people. People just died of infection. They got cut, and that was the end of them. People died of their teeth, right? So imagine living in a world which is just broken bodies. People just dying inexplicably, and they couldn't do anything about it. They didn't know what to do. Had no idea. And the penicillin is finally, they come up with it. They can't even make it into a pill. They're just shipping it out to the boys who are fighting, and they just get the stuff in you no matter how. We don't have time. So understand that in the ancient world, they thought that this world was governed or created not by the gods who created or the god who created the planets or run the planets. That Zeus was doing. Zeus was perfect. The planets run nothing like our world runs. Our world, my wife just died. I don't know what even happened to her. There was just a lump, and then she's dead. She's only 26. How did that happen? Inexplicable, broken world with broken bodies. Made no sense to people. Death was ubiquitous. I mean, all around them. So therefore, in that view, of the demiurge, of this lower tier, inferior god was commonplace, and this is part of Neoplatonic thinking. In fact, Paul explicitly alludes to this, doesn't allude to it. He speaks of the Lord of this world as Satan in 2 Corinthians 4, verse 4. So that's what you're seeing here, is you have to divorce yourself from the world you're familiar with. The world we're familiar with is one God who's the creator of us all and the one who controls history, the God of history. And then there's everybody else, everything else. That's not the ancient world at all. However, here's where I want to just tweak it for you. This thoroughly Jewish idea that the God created the world through his word, Devar. I don't want to go further because I'll overwhelm you. So that idea becomes weaponized by idol worshippers who go, it's a separate God, that word, and it's an inferior God, that word. It's a demiurge, that word. It's a deity in and of itself. And that will creep into books of the Christian Bible that are not only written in Greek, but thought in Greek. There's all Hellenized thinking. And unfortunately, a Jew who was not a Christian contributed to John. He was a contemporary of Paul. Philo lived in the first half of the first century. And that's how the prologue developed. And Christians are just not reading Isaiah, and they're not asking questions. And they're told, you better believe and not doubt, like Thomas. Don't be a doubting Thomas, or you'll not only be thrown out of church, you'll go to hell. That means a lot to Christians. Thank you for your question.
Hey guys, I decided that on all of the shorter videos that are anywhere from 5 minutes to 15, 30 minutes, I'm going to add an extended blank session at the end so that I can live stream them, because I'm getting a lot of messages from people that they're missing the actual live interaction chat, the chat room. So by doing this, they won't all be the same length of extended plays, but this will be benefiting everybody who really does enjoy the YouTube chat. So you'll see just an image at the end, and then just a lot of silence for another 10 to 15 minutes. So you guys can log off whenever you want to, but this will give you guys plenty of time to finish up your chat messages. Hope you enjoy it, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks.
If you enjoy this channel and the content, and it has changed your life, or perhaps the life of a loved one or a close friend, would you please consider supporting this work? You can click this link and it'll take you directly to my website with the donate button. Or there's a Patreon link and a mailing address for snail mail if you would prefer. If you do donate, please do me a favor and leave me a phone number where I can contact you and thank you properly. I hope you all have a wonderful 2025. Shalom.